Broadcasting from the Blanchistan Centre, this is Phoenix FM.
This is 92.5 Phoenix FM, community radio for Dublin 15.
Hey everybody, it's JB Jeremy Borash, and you are listening to Darragh O'Connor on the...
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and we are live with our second show of the week. If you're checking this out on the channel, and if you're checking this out on Phoenix 92.5 FM, well, I don't know. Maybe this one will go out, maybe the other one will go out. We'll all find out, but you are most welcome to the Wrestling Rewind here on Nerd to Know Media, Phoenix 92.5 FM, and the Two Penny channel. Dave, you're back from the dead.
Back from the dead indeed. It's a great day for wrestling, everybody. Welcome back to the only show hosted by fans that don't hate wrestling.
Full disclosure, I totally thought Dave fell asleep yesterday, and I was like, I'll just do the show and he might wake up, and it turns out I got the day wrong. So you guys you get two for the price of one. But you know, look, as cool as it was to do a fan submitted thing, I just hope the next fan submission isn't something that is like, you know, that has something to talk about, because I was watching this going, where's the talking points? Like, what are we supposed to take away from here? Because I just didn't know. But yeah, guys, that's over on the channel. And it's also up on the True Penny channel. He got that up super quick. And the cool thing about it is there's also a segment from myself and Bryn from a couple of years ago, and an interview with Matt Hardy from a couple of years ago that I don't think is on the channel yet. So do check that out. I'll post those segments individually on our YouTube channel, of course. But yeah, so that's what's going on now. But this is show 34, I believe.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it is. I'm just going to double check. Yes, it is show 34. Yes, it is. Whatever it is on the channel, that's what we're on. And we're going to look at something very, very cool. And here's something that I want to do kind of going forward. It's August now, Dave. So
it is August.
It's SummerSlam season.
Yes, it is.
And you still haven't seen a lot of these shows from the Attitude Era. So
no, I love not knowing the results going into them. I like actually watching old shows, but always being surprised, because I'm still caught up in the what's going to happen part of the match.
Oh yeah, and SummerSlam 1998 is their kind of rewind show this week. So we're gonna look at that in in due course. But guys, if you're in the chat, let us know. Speak up. You're obviously more than welcome. And look, if there's a show you want us to cover, let us know in the chat as well. It's the best way to do it, honestly, in the comments. But also, nerdtoknowmedia@gmail.com. Nerd to Know Media on Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. nerdtoknowmedia.com in general for all that stuff. We are building out some more changes are coming to the Twitter and stuff like that. So bear with us while they're happening. But for the meantime, the best way to reach out is directly via the YouTube channel or by email. So it is what it is, right, Dave? So
absolutely.
I'm so excited that I get to do my Dave React segment.
When you weren't
on the show like yesterday, I was like, oh man, I had these ready to go. And anyway, so
Here we go.
So I have two for you this week, right?
All right.
Actually, I have three. I have three for you this week, right?
Oh, a triple threat.
Okay. Yeah. So which one is real, right?
Oh, no.
Which one isn't?
I don't know any rumors this time.
No,
last time I kind of was able to suss it out. I'm not sure.
This is great. Okay. So the first one concerns Marty Jannetty, right? So.
Oh, I might have seen this.
So this week, has Marty Jannetty allegedly been outed as leader of a drug smuggling ring, admitted to killing a guy, or admitting to be a hitman?
Oh, I don't know if it's 2 or 3, because one of my friends actually texted me with a screenshot of Marty Jannetty's Facebook page and said, did Marty Jannetty just confess to killing a guy? And I'm not sure. So I guess I might have to go with, did he? I mean, is that what we're...
But we don't know. So, okay, so it was number 2. And he went on one of his unfortunate social media tirades where he said, this isn't the first time that I made someone disappear.
Right.
Heavily implying that he killed someone when he was like 13. Now, to be fair, the guy who he allegedly killed was an abuser or something like that.
Yeah.
When he was a kid. So it's like, all right, it's a federal case now, and looks like the police are being involved.
Oh, so this is really going somewhere.
Yeah, this is really going somewhere. Yeah, this is really a thing. And yeah, so that's what's going on now with Marty Jannetty, and the police have said, hey, look, if anyone knows, let us know. We're going to give priority to active cases, because this is from 1973 and they don't really have records that go back that far, and even no missing cases from that year. But it's just kind of like, well, man, what a thing to just casually say over Twitter. So yeah,
man, just think, if Shawn Michaels didn't get the rub and it was Marty Jannetty, what a different world we live in.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, number 2.
All right,
Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho breaks quarantine to go on a binge in New York.
Okay.
Chris Jericho.
Sounds like Jericho.
Chris Jericho does a gig with no social distancing. Chris Jericho puts over Orange Cassidy in a match, and then regrets it.
Publicly regrets it?
Yeah.
That one's so specific. I have to go with number 3 just because it's very specific.
The answer is number 2.
Oh, no. Where did he do the show?
So there was a show, I think it's in South Dakota, with a bunch of bikers. And I don't know.
Sturgis, was it?
Sturgis, yeah. So I don't know the fans when they did it.
Okay.
But Jericho's come under a bunch of fire for, having no social distancing and no one wearing masks. Now, obviously, he went and said, hey, look, they wear. But you watch footage from Sturgis and you're like, bikers don't really seem to care. So it just kind of is what it is. But yeah, that was the thing that happened. And then he went and had his match with Orange Cassidy, which I haven't actually seen yet because it's Wednesday when we're recording this, but it hasn't happened yet.
Oh, wow. That's good for Jericho.
Yeah, I like Jericho.
What else to say?
It's funny because the show that I did yesterday, I pretty much put over Jericho for 20 minutes. So it's like, let's have a bit of fun now. Please don't block me. Please don't block me, Jericho. Come on,
block him.
No, his band blocked me, so I'm still gonna give it a bit of.
I mean, his band's the one that did the gig, and all I'm hearing is you trash talking them for not social distancing. I don't see how you're gonna get out of this.
Yeah, I'm digging the hole a little bit bigger, right? Okay.
Oh wow. Okay.
And number 3. Number 3. What are we gonna say? Right. Antifa show up and cut a ring down, and then they throw a block through the door and then walk away and celebrate. Antifa show up and attack one of the main WWE talent, or Raw Underground features its first female competitors.
Wow. I don't know. I don't want it to be number 3. I don't want it to be. Not after that cage match I just watched. I mean, how can there even be enough? Well, you got the MMA. Well, okay, let's just go with number 3 and hope it's wrestling related. Please tell me it's not number 1. Please don't be number 1.
It's number 1 and number 3.
All right, first of all, that's nonsense. That is malarkey right there.
No,
this was not supposed to be 2 choices.
No, it's true. I'm sorry. I had to, because everything in that lineup is ridiculous. So
wait. So they,
yeah.
So what did they do? Where was this?
So on SmackDown, they showed up at the end of the show, and they had like the lamest chainsaw of all time, like a little mini chainsaw. And
who was this?
WWE's Antifa group.
Oh, I thought you. I'm imagining some poor indie show has like a ring set up somewhere, and the real ones went there and like, you're not social distancing. Mind you, I went to a wrestling show this weekend. And it was so nice to see a live wrestling show, and everybody was wearing masks. Everybody was social distance. And gosh, it was nice to get that bloodlust out of me. I really needed it.
Don't let that innocent face fool you guys. Dave's bloodthirsty.
I am a little bloodthirsty.
Dead match. But yeah,
I did talk to the owner though. He's very interested in coming on. But
man, I'm looking forward to that. I'm
let's
excited.
get back to this. Okay, so it's WWE's weird. Okay, I got that.
Hold on, what's their actual name? I think Retribution. That's the one. So Retribution is what they're called. But they're still coming out wearing black, and they haven't really said anything yet. We don't really know what's going on. But they decided to attack the ring, which made no sense. And then they cut the ring ropes and then did it. But the worst thing about it is it's not even what they do. It's the fact they do this little celebration afterwards, which is really cringy, where they're all like, yay, and they clap hands and high five. It's like, oh my God, just please stop doing it. Just don't say anything. Just be a badass, And it's just like, no. And then on Raw, they didn't attack the Performance Center. They just threw a block through the door and then walked away. And then it cut back to them dancing around the car and high-fiving. And it's like, yeah, this is bad.
What is WWE trying to do here?
No, I don't even know what they're trying to get over. Or they haven't said anything. There's no demands. It's just like, what are you doing? Is it because of the Antifa thing that they think they're trying to get over? Because it doesn't really make any sense. It's like, what is this?
I mean, regular Antifa doesn't make any sense. We've been demonetized yet? Probably. Fair. Regular doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So why would a scripted version make sense?
Oh man, funny story actually. I was in Dublin there during the week, and there was a massive protest happening in Dublin. Antifa showed up, and then the cops attacked. The cops responded because they were attacking the cops, and I was like, "What's this? It's crazy." So yeah, man, I don't know. WWE, I get it. It's understanding that they're trying to tap into this, but this is all the wrong way to do it, right? It's because they haven't said anything. We don't know who's in the group. We don't know what they're trying to get retribution for,
right?
And it's like. Okay, but fair enough. Take that aside.
I hope this isn't one of those big reveals that the WWE is like, we've got a cool idea, but we don't know who we're going to reveal it to be. So we're just going to run an angle for a couple months. Yeah, and then we'll figure out who it is.
That's what it is. So we don't even know who's in it. And Meltzer's came out and said, hey, look, anyone who's portraying the group right now, they're not even who's in the group.
I hate when WWE does this.
Yeah, so it just makes no sense. So what's probably going to happen is
it's going to be Taker and Sting is what's going to happen.
Oh, well, I did hear that Taker and Sting are probably going to come back as a tag team and win the belts.
Yourself.
No, I heard it.
I censored myself there. Right to censor.
But here's another one, right?
Oh, God.
So what happens if you go on to righttocensor.com now? Do you go to a hardcore pornography site, go to a kitten website, or go to the AEW website?
I mean,
you're not allowed to check it. You have to guess. That's not how this works.
Well, you can't hear my keyboard cacking, my keyboard clacking. Why would they buy that domain?
I don't know, but that's a thing. So yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, it redirects to the AEW website for some reason. So yeah.
I assumed you weren't just going to be passing out a porn link on our show, so I figured I was safe to go in there. And I always like kittens, but
yeah, okay, fair.
What is this?
Yeah.
Oh, Moxley's the world champion? Well done.
Well done. Dave doesn't watch wrestling. It's recently, he really doesn't. And I hope he doesn't, because then the segment will be, gimmicked. It's all real.
It's a really nice looking belt.
Yeah.
That's when Bret Hart presented. See, I know a little. I watched their pay-per-views. I work at nights. Hopefully not for more than another couple of weeks, but I work at nights. No time.
There we go. So it was worth hanging on to Dave React segment. It was fantastic. But yeah, look,
do they own right to censor? Is there any members in TNA? Sorry, AEW.
Freudian slip right there.
It was a Freudian slip. That own right to censor, or that were in right to censor? Is Al Snow?
No, Al Snow isn't there. Sean Morley isn't there. Stevie Richards isn't there. No, they're all in TNA or elsewhere. So. It is literally just, I think the domain came free. WWE probably should have kept an eye on that and bought that, but this happens all the time. This is called, this actually, for anyone watching, not advocating this, but it's called domain squatting, where if you pretty much just buy a domain or whatever, you can get domains for a couple of euro. Mm-hmm. If you want to buy, if you're smart about it, if you know a movie's coming out or something, buy the domain, and then they'll come to you and give you X amount of dollars. Sure, even I think Amazon went down one time and they had to negotiate buying Amazon or whatever.
There was a whole South Park episode about this where Cartman bought the domain for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, it's a thing that happens a lot. Yeah, but here's the thing, like the domains that we use, obviously, we have.
I'm mixing up shows. That was a totally different show, but that was the site. I don't know. You know what I think about South Park? There was so much South Park gear worn during SummerSlam '98.
We'll get to it. Don't worry.
I need to know what was going on.
Yeah,
there.
But here's what I don't understand about domains auto renew. That's what I find weird. Like I have our domains to auto renew, so it's like, do you not care? So I don't know. WWE dropped the ball on that, and it's just a funny meme. Okay, and the last thing I have, Dave, to talk about before we go over
$7,000 obligation match. What is this? Chris Jericho versus I don't know what's going on in wrestling. Why do I have a podcast?
Well, okay, basically that's the whole Orange Cassidy thing, where it's like if whoever wins has to pay $7,000 because Chris Jericho's jacket.
Okay, sure, why not?
Yeah. So that's what's going on there.
Orange Cassidy's the dude with the skateboard, right?
No, Orange Cassidy's the guy with the sunglasses. He doesn't talk.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. Darby Allin. Okay, now it makes sense. I got it. Yeah.
Right. Actually, that is the last thing that I had to talk about. All right. Okay. Let's kind of swap gears here, right? So, obviously, our fan pick was Raw, and we did that yesterday. So,
I'm just glad I missed it. Apparently, it made my World War III selection not that bad of a selection.
No, that's still a bad selection. I could watch the show and actually see the main event. It just wasn't a very good main event. Actually, it's funny because it had Shawn Michaels versus Marc Jannetty. And I was like, oh, this is kind of funny based on what's going on.
Weird.
And also had a what's the guy's name? The guy that died this week. Can't remember his name.
Oh, Kamala.
Yeah, I had a match with Kamala, and I was like, oh wow, this is really like topical for this week. Anyway, okay. So I was like, right, let's talk about SummerSlam, and we'll probably go through a couple of SummerSlams while we're going up to. I think SummerSlam is not next week; it's the week after, the 23rd or 24th. It's whatever that Sunday is. I know I'm shooting a video that Sunday and Monday, so I'll be awake. So we're probably going to review that then. But I
mean, I got to pay some attention to modern wrestling. I guess we're definitely in a performance center. There's no chance of a crowd at this point.
Well, it's still talk about being on a beach or talk about being on a boat. We don't know yet.
Oh, right. They don't want to do it in the performance center.
They don't want to do it in the performance center.
Okay. So they either want to copy Jericho or they want to copy the UFC.
Yeah. So I'm just like, right, we'll find out. Or a beach wouldn't be a bad idea, to be fair. Like,
no, Fight Island's working out pretty well over in United Arab Emirates, I think it is, or Abu Dhabi.
What kind of world are we living in, man?
I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on at all. Why do you think I'm living in the past on the Wrestling Rewind?
Fair.
Times are happy.
I said, that's it. Times are happy, and what's great about 1998 and 1999 is you're probably not going to get a bad show or a show that doesn't have some noteworthy stuff in it. And I actually forgot SummerSlam 1998 like a lot. It's one that I don't know why I forgot it. Like, obviously the big takeaway from this is the ladder match with Triple H.
For you, of course it was. Yeah.
No, for everyone, because it's one of those IC matches that people point to that everyone's like, this is the best ladder match. What? No, it's not
really good.
Yeah, it's not because it has Triple H in it. It's just because that's what it is.
It is.
All right, fair. But, it's one of those matches that everyone will point to, say, hey, look, this is the great ladder match. And up to this point, it was one of the best ladder matches because we didn't have the Hardys, we didn't have the Dudleys, we didn't have Edge and Christian yet. So it kind of was that standard bearer up until, the following year when the whole concept of the ladder match just went crazy. But
the innovation's so interesting.
Yeah, 100%. What, I like this whole, I like pretty much everything about this show. This was in New York, so up at your neck of the woods.
Yeah, Madison Square Garden. It's Mecca.
Have you been to Madison Square Garden?
Yeah, one time I passed out on the steps in front of it. I got like heat stroke.
So you never attended a show at it?
I've never attended. No, I have not.
That's strange. Like I
live right near Philly, and that's also a really big place for wrestling. So we have
but Yeah, like I've stayed beside Madison Square Garden in a hotel there, but I don't know. I would, love to go see a show in Madison Square Garden, but
all right, well, let's go next week. I'm sure they're open.
Dude, I can't leave the country, man.
I can't go to New York.
Yeah, the country. Yeah. The sadness of the modern world. The sadness of the modern world is so upsetting.
That's something I love, though, about these 1998, 1999 shows that we're doing is it's almost like living in an age of innocence because these are all pre 9/11. And if you're younger and you're listening and you're going, yeah, well, whatever, we get it. That's something in history that happened. But for us, it changed the world so fundamentally.
Yeah. Like, it's funny. Like the first couple of times I went to the States, it was like, hey, are you gonna go see the mouse? And we're like, yeah, because we were like, what, 8, 9, you're like, yeah, whatever. And then you go over visit my uncle and stuff like that. And and then after 9/11, it's like, proper interrogation. So I missed the world pre 9/11, man. It was a much better time. Like
a lot more innocence, and just, I don't know, harkens back. I don't know. Whatever.
It does feel that way. Like it's weird. Like it's 2000. I was over in the States in 2000, like in August, and September. My uncle got married in September, so I was there like, around that time. It's just weird to think back. This is weird. Well, actually, that was 2001. I was there in September, and then 2000 there in August. So it's weird, man. It's a weird time to kind of think back. But this show is one that kind of gets lost in the shuffle because it's like the transition period from like 1997 wrestling, WWE, to 1999 wrestling, which is completely different. And what I liked about this show is it's like one that's kind of sandwiched in between. They fully haven't reached Attitude Era yet, but you're still kind of like really there. And a lot of the people in it, you're like, oh, okay, this is strange. And you wouldn't see them again because they'd be gone by 1999 and replaced by somebody a lot better. And then by 2000, replaced by somebody even better again. But it had a lot of stuff that I really liked. It was kind of the main through line of this show was every single talent had a story. Everyone had something to do, and everything felt important. It was weird. Munster Mutt chimed in there. I was in the US in July 2001, 2 months before 9/11. Completely different the next time I went back in terms of security and atmosphere in the airports. Yeah, it's sad reality, and I wonder what it's going to be like after this health emergency is finished. I
have to wait till November to see.
Yeah, not fun.
Not fun.
Okay.
Speaking of Antiva now.
Okay, here's 3 dark matches, and I wish we actually got to see them because they look pretty fun. Too Much versus LOD 2000. Gangrel versus Dustin Reynolds, who's Goldust. And
thank you.
The Disciple. Well, some people might not notice. The only good member of the Reynolds family.
Right, we covered that last week.
Yes. We did. And the Disciples of the Apocalypse, 8-Ball and Skull, defeated Bradshaw and Vader. That match I'm kind of glad we didn't see because that sounded like it sucks. But yeah, man, like, so the show kind of started off really hot with a D'Lo Brown Val Venis match for the European Championship. Super good.
Really just gets such a great reaction. All the time, such a great reaction.
Everyone's over. There's no one on this show who is like not over.
Well, we'll talk about the Oddities in a second.
I knew you were going to mention the Oddities. Well, as soon as I said it, I'm like, he's going to bring up the Oddities. Well, the Oddities, they weren't around for very much longer, and that's the reason why. But everyone else kind of got over, and they gave the opportunities to do so. And you think about it, like, it's weird because like D'Lo, The Rock, and Owen Hart all come out to variations to the Nation music. And you're like, why are you coming out to The Rock's music? And you're like, oh yeah, wait, that's the Nation's music, and that The Rock kind of adapted. So it's weird to kind of think about that. And Val Venis, I love the commentary. Like, there are so many moments going, oh wow, we're back again, here we go, with the King just making some horrific statement. Now, to be fair, they weren't misogynistic really that much. There was just a lot of innuendos. One of the best ones was, Val Venis, how does he keep rising up over and over again? You're like, oh my God, Jerry.
I think I'm starting to get like some cognitive dissonance to the commentary.
Yeah.
Where I just accept it. Like I'm trying to think which match it was. The one where Sable, where Marc Mero like slams Sable onto Marc Mero. Marc Mero slammed Sable and Marc Mero. No, whoever it was slammed him onto her, and Jim Ross made some comment like, "Oh, I bet every man in America wishes they were Marc Mero right now."
Yeah.
It's like, all right, okay. We don't get that anymore.
I find it very disturbing when Jim Ross joins in on that kind of stuff.
Right? Like Jerry Lawler, he's like the creepy uncle, so you expect it.
Yeah,
but Jim Ross is like the grandfather.
Exactly. Like, Jerry Lawler is like Joe Biden. You expect him to be creepy. But
speaking of Kamala,
but you expect it. Like, you're like, oh yeah, he's gonna say something horrible, and everyone's gonna be like, oh, okay. But when JR comes in, you're like, oh no, don't,
you, man, don't.
No, don't. You don't need to lower yourself to this. You're already really respected.
I do love the dynamic though.
Yeah,
I like that they actually work off of each other, and they actually try and push storylines along and play up the heel, play up the face. It just feels so much more realistic than Corey Graves just shoving stuff down our throats. You like Mandy, I get it.
All I remember about Goldust was he knocked down Stone Cold Steve Austin. Well, that's probably a good thing. Goldust has some really good moments later on, but his earlier stuff is, let's put it this way, Vince McMahon wanted to pay for him to get fake boobs put in.
True story.
A true story, and that's why he left WWE for a while, because he's like, I'm not doing this. But then we'll come back and have a great run with Booker T, and it was just hilarious. So yeah, wrestling was weird around this time, and Goldust is a very interesting character that, it depends where you want to go with that.
I mean, I just loved him going to WCW and being like, I'm not wearing a face paint and mask anymore. It might have even been TNA. I got him confused. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm tired of it. And then the next week he shows up and he's acting face paint. It's like, what?
Everywhere he's been, he's wore face paint and a mask. I have to say, I loved him in TNA when he was like really out of shape as Black Rain. And he was tight.
Right. Where was he 7? Was he 7 in
WCW? In WCW, yeah.
Okay. And, I know what I'm talking about, guys. I'm qualified for this show.
But what I loved about it was he was like horrifically out of shape, but he was tagged with this guy who was called Relic, and Relic is killer backwards. And I'm like, this is the cringiest thing I've ever seen in my life. What is going on? Yeah. Oh man. Oh, you know what? We're going to talk about Hard Justice 2007 at some point. So
of course we are.
That's coming. I always remember being really out of shape, especially compared to Steve Austin or Triple H. Well, yeah, yeah. See, like Goldust was never really known for being like a great worker. It was more just the weird stuff he'd do in the ring. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, he is a great worker, and Vince Russo wrote some great stuff for him.
Yeah,
make the character get over.
Yeah, and he did get over.
It's surprising for the times. This is a character that would fit better, I think, nowadays maybe than during the Attitude Era. In some respects. In other respects, he'd probably get canceled. So I don't know.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, a lot of the stuff that he would do, it gets you canceled now. You wouldn't be able to do it because it'd be hate speech or something, Yeah.
Maybe that's why they're able to get away with smashing the wall of the Performance Center and such. There's like, we're on your side.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But like a lot of the stuff that Goldust would do, he'd be a heel. And I don't think presenting somebody doing what he would do as a heel would be a good idea. It's like the same way bringing back the Nation now would be a really bad idea as a heel group. But you also can't put it as a face group because of the connotations of those angles are very dangerous in the wrong spin, in the wrong narrative. And that's just, you don't need it, which is why we end up with such lame milquetoast stuff now. Wrestling should just be wrestling. And then you can just do whatever you want, but that just doesn't work nowadays, But back here, Goldust could do whatever he wanted. He could be, ambiguous with everything and really kind of play up that psychological. I did like the fact that when he came out and would do the weird stuff, it would actually freak people out. And then he'd come out and actually win the match, and you're like, wow, it's actually he's playing this ring psychology. So that was kind of, the idea was good. Vince Russo, I think, just pushed it really far. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he was writing the script while watching Jerry Springer. I mean, that's a well-known fact. So what do you expect?
Well, there you go. But the D'Lo Val Venis match, I really enjoyed it. It was a super competitive match. Totally forgot why D'Lo Brown had that vest. It turns out it was from an injury, and he just never stopped wearing it.
I I see missed potential with Roman Reigns here. They should make a deal out of Roman Reigns' gear and make him like extra, put some little studs on it or something.
Yeah, load the gear so you can add extra impact.
Yeah.
But yeah, Val Venis again was in here. This was still very early on in all their runs. Like Edge appeared in the crowd. I was like, who's Edge? So it's like, wow, okay, we're really kind of seeding here. What I liked about this was, even though this was like an early match for the European belt, it firmly established, here's the crop of guys you're going to have. Here's what this tier of wrestling is going to be about. Here's what we can expect. And you just don't get that nowadays. Guys just show up and do stuff. It's like Edge showed up for like a second, and you're already like, oh man, who's Edge? What's going on? Why is he? That
crossbody over? Oh, that was in his match later. Never mind. But I just don't understand Val Venis going after the referee at the end. Like, why would you want to do the money shot on dude? I'm confused.
I don't know. The referee got way too involved for my liking, where he pretty much cost Val Venis the match. It's like, hold on, you're upset that he's wearing the vest, but you weren't upset that Teioh was wearing the vest. That doesn't make any sense. Like, it's just dumb.
That's booking 101.
Oh man, so dumb. But yeah, like a great match was kind of undone by bad overbooking. But we let it go. It kind of heated everything up. The next match did not, but Kaientai were there, so Kaientai are fun. But man, the oddities: Giant Silva, Golga, Kurrgan with Luna Vachon, Shaggy 2 Dope, and Violent J.
ICP in the house.
Oh man, I forgot ICP were there, and it's just like, yeah, well, this is so 90s. But it's like, it's so underground 90s because it wasn't mainstream yet, which is why like a couple of years later they just would not want to go near ICP, which is why they started their own wrestling promotion. I think
very successful one actually.
Oh yeah, it's still going actually as well.
Probably.
And then Kaientai with Dick Togo, Men's Teioh, Sho Funaki, Taka Michinoku, and Yomagasi-san.
Very well done. Very well done on the pronunciations. I'm impressed.
I'm trying. Like, look, I can do Japanese a little bit. Other ones not so much, but I do try my very best. A handicap match that the Oddities won, and it wasn't very good. Don't watch it.
It was terrible.
It was I'm trying to be nice here. It wasn't the worst wrestling I saw all week. That kind of goes to that Raw and those 2-minute matches. So this wasn't it, and I enjoyed the commentary from King and Lawler. So King and JR. So it was all right, but definitely not the best match on the card. Probably the one match I'd say skip and forget about very quickly. The next match was a hair versus hair match. Now, here's what's interesting about this. I actually forgot when Jeff Jarrett got the short haircut, because anytime I'd watch him, he'd have the long hair. But you knew he was going to lose on this. You usually know when someone's going to lose the hair versus hair match because one of the lads is going bald, like aggressively. But also, if it's like in Punk's case, Mysterio wasn't going to lose his mask. So,
right.
Again, he just wasn't going to lose the mask. So, it was pretty clear. If I had been watching this in 1998, I wouldn't have known really who would have lost, because it could have went either way. Because it wasn't like Jarrett was going bald. He obviously hasn't. And they didn't really kind of do that gimmick shift until a couple of weeks later, when he kind of went a bit more serious with Owen Hart. So, I don't know. What did you think about this? Like, this, obviously, and then the setup on Heat, where he shaved Howard Finkel's head and all kinds of stuff. You're like, oh yeah, there's no way he's winning this one. This is obviously a thing. But a setup to it actually left a lot of questioning.
Yeah, I was surprised that they didn't show more of Howard Finkel getting his hair shaved. I didn't even know that happened until the match, and maybe that's better because it left it more open for me.
Well, it happened on Heat. It happened on Heat. Like, one thing I miss about current WWE, and say what you want about the pre-show. The pre-show is BS in my opinion. I don't like the WWE pre-shows. Bring back Heat, because Heat would actually have stuff on it that would directly impact the show. And we're not talking about like, oh, someone wins the hardcore belt. I mean, like, literally, stipulations for WrestleManias at main events would be done on Heat.
Absolutely.
The lads would be there and do things, and that's what I miss.
I'm probably the only person in the world that misses it, but I dearly miss Velocity on Saturday nights. There was about a 1 year window where I only watched Velocity because that's where Paul London wrestled each week. He had a match.
And AJ Styles and all that kind of stuff were all on Velocity.
But I mean, London was there every week. Him and, wasn't Jimmy Wang Yang yet, but who would become him. I mean, they were killing each other and putting on 4-star matches on a weekly basis. It was really fun to watch. And that's the guy that got me back into wrestling, was London. So I really do miss those shows quite a bit.
But like what I mean,
main event doesn't do it for me.
Look, I'm not talking about, this is a uniquely Attitude Era thing that they've kind of lost.
Where it actually goes into the show itself.
Yeah, they've lost sight of it. Like, you don't need more wrestling. Ironically, wrestling doesn't need more wrestling, right? Wrestling needs storytelling and arcs and stuff to make sense. And when I watched the pre-show, the reason why I skipped the pre-show 9 times out of 10 is because it's 2 hours, nothing happens, and it's filled with interviews. Still do your interviews, but have what? Who's the main star in WWE? I don't know. Have Bray Wyatt. No, I can't have Bray Wyatt. Seth. See, this is have Seth come out and say, look, tonight's match is going to be an ODQ match, and here's why, and then attack someone. There you go. You have Heat coming in. People are going, oh my God, you see, and then they could play it back, because what they used to do around this time is they'd play back stuff from Heat, so you'd actually watch it. When Heat lost its kind of its power, I suppose, is when they went away from that, and you just have jobbers showing up. It became like main event. And
right, exactly.
And I miss, and that was never the appeal of Sunday Night Heat. Sunday Night Heat was the last kind of chance to really buy into the show, where it's like, hey, look, it's coming up this way. You don't want to miss it. Here's why. And what I used to love as well, they stopped doing it, which really bugged me as well, in the last point of it. The Heat used to take place inside the arena. So if it was a WrestleMania, it would take place inside the WrestleMania arena. They used to then tape it on Raw, like after Raw. It's like, this is not Heat. This is just garbage here, you know? Yeah. So that's what I miss. I thought that was great. And this is an example of it. Like, obviously, you didn't have to watch Heat, but by watching it, it added so much to it, where you're like, oh man, Jeff Jarrett's such a jerk, and Dennis Knight is such a jerk. Let's go and, you know, cheer for X-Pac more. And then obviously he came out with X-Pac and, you know, was wearing the DX shirt and everyone had a good time. So it was a very, very good match.
How many times have there been a hair versus hair match where, and yes, it was a good match. X-Pac did some awesome flying heel kicks, I thought. But
and Jeff Jarrett was fantastic too. You forget how good of a worker the man is. He's really decent.
Oh, phenomenal. And yet another guitar gets smashed. But how many times do we have to watch a guy get his head shaved and they don't realize that you need to trim it with the shears first and then go for the clippers? Like, they always get jammed and broken. When they took that out and it was a little battery-powered one from the late 90s, I was like, there's no way. There's no way this is cutting Jarrett's hair.
No way. They just, what they should have done, and I know you can't have the spectacle of it in the ring, but they should have hard cut to doing it backstage later on in the night, you know, where Jeff Jarrett ran back and then all the lads attacked them and then they did it that way. The same way they did it with, sorry, my hand is there. Same way they did it with Kurt Angle and Edge from Judgment Day a couple of years ago, like 17 years ago.
It was like started in the ring, but then finished backstage.
Yeah, it finished on top of the stage, but it kind of went around and they carried it through the whole night. I think that would have been more impactful, and they also could have got around that limitation. But yeah, like, look, hair versus hair matches, how often have we seen them where that happens? And I think they kind of learned, you know, here's how you do them. But yeah, it was kind of funny to just see the clippers like not work and then just break and then just have to cut the hair and then they drag them off. You know, it was what it was. It was a fun little show. It kind of revamped Jeff Jarrett. Like, he'd come out and be way more serious now after this. He'd start having, in my opinion, the best run of his career outside of TNA. And yeah, so this is where we start seeing the genesis of a much more serious Jeff Jarrett, which we will talk about. Don't get me wrong. We really will talk about the late WWE Jeff Jarrett. Because I think he's great. He's one of the best heel characters that they've ever had.
One of the best costumes of all time. There's no doubt about that.
Well, after this, I think he gets rid of that weird silver thing that always appears on this show for some reason. He's always in it. Just no matter where he is, he just shows up in that. It's like, man, come on. Does nothing for you.
I love it.
Friends
reminds me of Zack Ryder's half shorts, half pants thing he was doing for a while.
Friends don't let other friends go out like that. And that's why I'm like, no one except for Owen Hart was his friend because Owen dressed him properly. I was like, listen, man, you can't go out in that anymore. You have to wear something less terrible. And he did, so fair play. All right. Your next mismatch, a match that had moments on the commentary that were interesting. We can't talk about this, but wasn't necessarily good, was Edge and Sable versus Jacqueline and Marc Mero. This was a mixed tag team match. Now remember, Marc Mero and Sable came into the company together. This is when Sable was like the biggest thing in wrestling. And Edge had only debuted very recently. So Dave, you brought this up. So talk us through it. What happened and why should we watch it or skip it?
I do think it's worth a watch because I look at Sable through 2020 lens. Well, I'd say more like 2014 lens when she was with Lesnar and all that started to go.
She's still with Lesnar.
No, I know she is, but I'm saying I remember those. Yeah, she did marry him. Now I don't even want to talk because now I just mentioned Brock Lesnar's name and I'm afraid he's going to like run in here and F5 me, which is worth mentioning because Sable does an F5 during this match, which I thought was kind of cool. She does. They called it the TKO. I was like, oh, that's a little appropriate that she would do that. That's cool. Edge, it's so cool to see a young Edge that's flying around before he like makes this big like leap on the ladders and everything. I mean, he was doing suicide dives over the top rope to the outside, which was absolutely insane. I thought Jacqueline, again, like my exposure to her was in the early 2000s. So seeing her in her youth gave me a totally different perspective on her talent. Like, same as Sable. Like, I mean, Sable, as you know, I'm trying to think when she became, it's probably when she did the Playboy issue with Tori Wilson is when I started to take notice of her and like, oh, there's this wrestler. But I was like, oh, who's this old wrestler posing? I don't get this. So when you go back in time, it starts to make a lot more sense and a lot of strength, a lot of cool double team moves between her and Edge that I liked.
Well, what's interesting about this is just before the women's division becomes kind of a joke.
Yeah, they were actually doing stuff.
They were actually doing stuff. And that's what's interesting about 1997, 1998. That it kind of disappears late 1999 after the evening gown pool match at Armageddon 1999. You're like, okay, women's wrestling is kind of done for a while. You get a lot more evening gown matches as well.
My favorite was the lingerie match.
Yeah, lingerie matches and
the lingerie match that had to be changed to an evening gown match because one of the divas' breast implants had burst. So they couldn't take any moves for that match, so they had to redo the gimmick for it so they wouldn't take impact.
It sucks because it's like this was wrestling for women for a long time in WWE, and it would kind of it would be worse in WCW. It wouldn't be until TNA where you'd really start kind of seeing that shift, you know.
I'm going to say something really controversial. Obviously, I like the shift. Nope, never mind. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Are you going to say you miss having the variety? Is that what it is? Because I don't blame you.
Because it provided a certain kind of comedy. It provided a certain kind of viewership. Why can't we have both? Like,
I agree. I've always been a huge proponent of female wrestling. When I was working for the Sun and that, I would always kind of push the TNA women's division because that was the best thing they had, honestly. And I'm a big fan of women's wrestling. But in the same way, it's something unique that only women can actually do.
Right.
You know, I know they had the tuxedo match, but nobody really wants to watch that.
Nobody wants to watch a Vince Russo book tuxedo on a chain match that I saw in person, and it was literally the fans were chanting "Fire Russo." Yeah. That's how bad this match was. I think it was Jay Lethal versus Sanjay Dutt. I think.
Yeah. See, nobody wants to. Yeah, it was bad, and nobody wants to watch it. But what I think is interesting is you can see because like not everyone is going to be a Becky Lynch, not everyone is going to be a Bailey, not everyone is going to be even a what's your woman's name? The really tough one. I mentioned her earlier.
Ronda Rousey?
Oh, we got Ronda Rousey. Yeah, not everyone's going to have those skills to be able to do it. But I would say that there is a market for these other venues. And the problem with women's wrestling, when you go into like 2003, 2005, they started picking models to hold belts and stuff where you're like, listen, they can't work. I don't know what you're doing.
You opened the door. I'm going to say it. Alicia Fox is on the WWE roster because John Laurinaitis was going through a magazine and pointed to her and said, let's hire her. And she's going to end up in the Hall of Fame, and she's the crappiest wrestler in the world. The only good thing she does is the Northern Lights Suplex Bridge, which I'm a sucker for, but then the Young Bucks ruined it during that Stadium Stampede match. So I don't even care about that move anymore. Fire her.
The only match I ever walked out of wasn't a Lisa Fox match. I was at a SmackDown or a Raw with Gary in Liverpool, I think. And I'm like, I have to leave. And he's like, why? I'm like, because Alicia Fox is coming out and I can't handle that. So I went down and I was just like, this is terrible. And it's the only match I actually left and came back. And I was like, it's over now, right?
Yeah, if you go and scroll around on YouTube, like somewhere in the archives, there's a video of me singing a song about how much Alicia Fox sucks.
Yeah.
It exists on some random YouTube channel I had years ago.
But what I'd say is, for someone like that, because look, all these stipulation stuff, they're all tools, right?
Right.
Having an evening gown match or a lingerie match or something, maybe not that because we're not PG anymore. In the toolbox, you're like, well, you know what? Okay, you could book that well, and you could use it. Taking it off the table, I think, was a silly decision, and I get why a lot of the women probably wouldn't want it because it is, for a real wrestler, it's probably the meaning, and I totally get that.
And I'm not saying I want a bikini, what they used to do, like little bikini things on Raw each week contest. Yeah, I don't need that. Memorial Day, we don't need to see her. No, that's not what we're saying. We're just saying there's cruiserweights and there's, big guys. Like, why can't there be different segments of the women that you employ? Like,
exactly.
It'd be fun to see something between the managers.
Oh yeah. Well, look, the Bellas can't work, but no one would say, hey, I don't want to see a match like that with the Bellas, because you're like, well, look, and then, they'd help them get over. It's about getting people over. And by forcing people into a situation that they can't actually work in, it just ruins the product. And I think it's maybe something WWE should probably consider at revising their policies on that. But hey, look, it is what it is. Let us know what you think, guys. If you disagree, totally let us know. If you agree, go for it. It's
welcome to the team.
Exactly, yeah. My favorite match is coming up next. Speaking of concepts that they got rid of, and I don't know why they got rid of, because it's probably the most underrated match in WWE history.
God, you didn't like this. There's no way you like this.
Ken Shamrock defeated Owen Hart in a Lions Den match. Why didn't you like it?
No.
Why didn't you like it? Why didn't you like it? It had everything. It had Ken Shamrock. It had a cage. It was great.
Okay, I'm gonna get all right. I'll give props where props will are due.
It was so unique, Shamrock, dude. It was so unique. It was so unique. It was so, like, here's the thing, right? If they had that as like a SummerSlam, because they do it next year in SummerSlam as well.
I mean, isn't that what the Underground Fight Club? That's all I was thinking during watching this match. Is, oh God, is this what?
But that's what they should do. They should just bring back the Lions Den match and hire Ken Shamrock. Oh my God, that's what they do, right?
Hire Ken Shamrock to get Frank Shamrock. Honestly.
Well, Ken Shamrock's working in Impact at the moment, so they could probably just throw.
Oh, for crying out loud!
They could probably just throw a sandwich and and he'd come. So look, WWE, hire Ken Shamrock to be the running the Underground thing and bring back the Lions Den.
Now, I did like Ken Shamrock jumping off the ring.
It was so cool.
At one point, great. For that, I thought that was a great move. I find it odd when you're going for an MMA style match and then you stop pounding the guy and get him up into a suplex. It kind of takes me out of what you're trying to create, which is kind of what I'm worried about with the the new.
Well, that's the same thing that's the same thing that's happening now with Underground, where they're doing wrestling moves. Yeah.
It's just, I don't get. Now that also, I just have a weird place in my heart when I watch, and no pun intended, but when I watch Owen Hart matches, I have a very difficult time watching them, especially coming up to the end of 1998, because in the back of my mind, I see this kid who's doing great things, and I know what's about to happen to him.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. That's your problem.
It's very.
I know, but you won't enjoy. You won't enjoy it if you keep doing it. It's like watching Benoit matches. You just have to have that degree of separation.
That's what holds me back, I think, from really loving these matches is the hindsight.
Because this match taken for what it is.
Yeah.
They do some really great things. Like
a lot of innovation.
The presentation, I loved having just it there in the theater. I was like, oh my God, this looks so good. And it's something so small. It's like just use more of the arena. And then, just Ken Shamrock, obviously being Ken Shamrock, working with Owen Hart, who's able to do these fluid submission combos. You're like, this just looks fantastic. These guys put on one of the best fake shoot matches that I've ever seen, and this is one of them. Now, the one that would happen a year later isn't as good. It's kind of hokey. This is probably the best Lions Den match that you'll ever see.
Yeah, and I like the fact that the fans were really hyped for it because this was the only match they saw that SummerSlam. I'm led to believe because they were in a different theater.
There were screens, so they probably watched the screen.
Yeah, but I mean, you're in the same building, but you're watching. It's like going to the movies versus being in the actual arena.
Fair, but I just think, to be honest with you, if I was given the choice, I'd actually would rather watch this in there because that's something you would never see.
Oh, it's right. Over Triple H versus The Rock on a ladder match. Yeah, no, I believe you. You're not making stuff up.
Okay, fair. The New Age Outlaws in a handicap match defeated Mankind because, of course, they did.
Of course they did. I'm so disappointed that they could not get their intro out, man. No, that's my favorite part.
Mankind got battered in this so badly.
He did.
He did, and the Outlaws were horrible to Mick Foley. I know it was work and stuff, but if I was Mick Foley nowadays, I'd really hate Billy Gunn and Road Dogg because they beat the heck out of him a lot in 1998. And it's kind of sad, but Kane no-showed this and they made a whole big song and dance over it. Not a very good match, a quick 5-minute match. Yeah, was what it was.
What was up with that dumpster? What was that? Why was Kane in the dumpster? What was going on there?
That's a callback to WrestleMania where they had a dumpster match with Chainsaw Charlie. We will watch that. We will watch WrestleMania 1998 because that's a callback. Yeah, we will. The glories of a dumpster match, something that we don't see nowadays. That is on the list.
I couldn't tell from the way the camera was cut if Kane had been in there the whole time, if Foley got out and switched places with Kane so they could do the sledgehammer spot, if he just moved out of the way for the sledge. There was good camera work, I guess, because I was trying to figure out the production of it, which led me into the whole, this is kind of neat. I missed that Kane. I missed that version of Kane, I will say.
That version of Kane is my favorite version. He's so menacing and so maniacal where everything you buy, you're like, this is a big deal. And then as he was overexposed, he becomes less of a big deal. And this is still when he's, Monster Kane. Next one, one of the most famous ladder matches of all time. The gold standard of a ladder match up until literally a year later with that's why the Hardy Boy. Have you seen the Hardys Edge and Christian match from No Mercy?
Of course.
Yeah, literally that was. I remember watching that live, and that fundamentally changed what people thought a ladder match was. Up until this point,
thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.
So it's one I've seen hundreds of times. It's a great match. I kind of forgot the DX band walk Triple H down to the ring.
Thought that was cool.
It is
the
cool.
crowd didn't seem to have any idea why it was happening.
No, they did not. But
the editing was pure bonkers, quite frankly. But I was chuffed by it. I will
weird editing on the network for X-Pac's entrance too. Actually,
yeah.
They just showed the video way too, and I think that is because something must have happened live that they wanted to get rid of, but they showed the video way longer than they should have. But this match was pretty good. It was what it was. This was just before they both broke. This was their kind of coming out moment. The Rock was about to be elevated in Deadly Games. A couple of months later, Triple H obviously would get his chance at next year's SummerSlam where he'd, cripple Stone Cold Steve Austin basically and start a great feud. We will get there. But this was the point where you had the passing of the guard, really the passing of the torch. Triple H and The Rock became superstars after this match, and it's in hindsight it's weird to see In context, it makes sense. But afterwards, I don't even think anybody there realized exactly what they were watching. And it's a match. It's a match that holds up. It's great. It's a fantastic 26 little minute match.
I thought so too. I loved all the spots that they did. I thought they all flowed well together. The Rock oversells like The Rock oversells, and that's just Rock. So I love it. Triple H in pants, weird sight.
Yeah,
definitely
it's crazy.
Weird sight. I always forget that early Triple H, would wear that. So yeah, I don't know what's happened to my voice. You're welcome, listeners.
And then the main event, kind of a disappointing main event. The best thing about this, I suppose, is Austin smoking skull belt, which is,
I don't know, I like this match actually.
I liked it too, but it didn't really have the, it's weird. When I was talking with Austin, he said he never had the match with that he wanted with Taker at WrestleMania, and that's true. He always would kind of feud with the Undertaker at SummerSlam and summer months. That's when he fully loaded SummerSlam Unforgiven. That would be the big feud, or King of the Ring or something like that. It would never really be a WrestleMania tier event. So it's always kind of, it's one thing that I don't know why they never had the big blowout match. But then going back and watching this, it was a decent match. But nothing was really done. There was no real nothing was finished, right? There was no real finality, which I think is the problem. We're so used to SummerSlam being the WrestleMania of the summer. At this point, it was just a pay-per-view that happened at the summer, and that's kind of what this match felt like. It's I was obviously happy to see Austin win because but I don't think it didn't have that big match feel, if that makes sense for me anyway.
No, but I will say it was cool to see Taker at that age because, oh my gosh, the way he would fly around the ring, fly outside the ring was absolutely unbelievable. Yeah. And now you understand why he had so many surgeries over the course of his life. And even Stone Cold was a lot more rambunctious than in 98 than we would see after multiple
neck surgeries and back surgeries and spine surgeries and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So I think that was my overall theme of this show, even going back to like D'Lo versus Val Venis. They're in their late 20s. Like while a lot of the people who we look at today who are wrestling in their 40s, seeing them in their 20s provides a whole different perspective. And I also liked Taker doing the respect of handing the belt over because it was clear, Taker's already the locker room leader at this point. Yeah. So I thought that was a cool little moment.
It was cool. Like Taker, this is before he'd go satanic cult leader. This was still just, he's just the dead man.
Oh, I did love that outfit though.
Oh yeah, man. Like he gets very interesting with his wrestling attire and stuff like that. It gets kind of cool. And you can see why he transitioned into the American Badass like 2 years from this, because he hits the point where it starts to get silly in 1998. And it's like, okay, we're kind of done with this. But yeah, look, overall, if you haven't seen SummerSlam 1998, as someone who hasn't seen SummerSlam 1998, what would you say and what were your takeaways from it?
I would say that it's a really skip the Oddities match. But other than that, I thought the whole thing was definitely worth watching. It kept me entertained. I fully expected to fall asleep during it because I always watch these things like when I get home from work. And I was like, no, I'm really into this show. Madison Square Garden always has a special feel to it. Yeah. Stone Cold's the eruption when he comes out. I mean, nothing matches that. No way. Triple H also got a fantastic ovation. So, and the Lion's Den match, as much as I was trying to pick on Darragh for it, actually is a really good match. And it's, if you like looking back in like a little time capsule of, your pre-2001 world and your favorite wrestlers as kids, really. I mean, they're younger than we are now, which is crazy to think about. So it was one of those really fun shows that at the very least you're getting your network subscription money worth out of. If this is your
definitely watch. Definitely, that's what this show kind of is. It's actually making me use my network subscription for probably what it's supposed to be used for. So look, next week we'll probably we haven't decided yet. Let us know what you guys want. We might run a poll or something like that. It'll either be SummerSlam 1998 or we might do a WCW show again. I don't know. Let us know in the comments below. We'll put up a poll because we can actually do polls on YouTube, so we'll do that. And yeah, Dave, is there anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Follow me on Instagram. Oh, I almost did it. Follow me on wherever it is on Instagram at @DaveStevens. But actually, follow me on Twitter. I don't want to lose. It's the same handle. I talk about wrestling sometimes if I show up. I don't know.
Fair enough, guys. If you want to keep in touch with us, you can. nerdtoknowmedia.com is where you can check everything out. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell. That really helps us out a lot. And we are available anywhere that podcasts are available. And sub to the channel. We're going to have a lot more content coming up. And we'll see you next week here on the True Penny channel, Phoenix 92.5 FM, nerdtoknowmedia.com, and of course YouTube, Twitch, and all that good stuff. This has been the Wrestling Rewind. Bye, guys.